Yo, what up, everybody? It's Corey Jagon Marco again, and this is the Dodcast. I'm doing it live. I recorded this episode once already, and everything was just fine until apparently I hit the record button, and then the sound went out, and I recorded for 2 hours, only to find out that none of it had sound. So, some of you have already seen that. Because I uploaded it without knowing there was no sound, thinking that nothing had gone wrong. And now here we are. I'm re-recording it. Hopefully this one can be a little bit shorter. I'm not going to be able to check chat very often. I'm only going to be looking at it when I pull up the Streamlabs. I probably won't answer it too much just because I'm just recording the Dodcast. I don't know how many people will even be popping in for this because I didn't advertise that I was doing it. But hopefully by now I have all the map choices. Since none of you know this, most of that Dodcast yesterday, the time was taken up by me speculating on map picks and having to do predictions for all the maps because I only knew the maps for like 2 matchups. Hopefully I won't go on as many long ranting tirades as I did yesterday. Although maybe I still will, because you know, sometimes you gotta play some mind games. Just a little bit. Just in good fun. Clearly. So yeah. Let's just start. As we can see here, this was the episode. I put it on private. If you want to watch it, I can put it back on public if you want to try to lip read the whole thing and see what's different from this version of it. But we're going to get right into the recap, so I need to change this window real fast to the Discord. No, that's not it. Scores, that's it. Pop this motherfucker in. Get me on there, not match alerts. Why does it say match alerts? Some bullshit. Hey, Corey, how's it going? See, Corey commented right at the perfect time, right when I was looking at Streamlabs. Alright, where is this thing? There it is, alright. So, starting right off in bronze. The only match, well, I guess technically there was 2 matches, but it's a little complicated here. So the first round matchup was, where is it? There it is, Floss versus We're Gonna Lose. This was a little bit of a heartbreaker. We're Gonna Lose, who had not been able to find a win yet. They come out in this matchup. They're flying off the first initial. Axis side, Harrington. They cap in like 55, I think, 56 seconds. And then off the next initial, they have Floss push back to their last flag. We're Gonna Lose is just zooming around, swarming to cap out again, looking like they're going to end up with like a 110, 120 point lead after about 3 or 4 minutes. However, what then happens is Pizza Hut lags out. It's 5-on-6. The timing of that seems to coincide with like 3 or 4 people on We're Gonna Lose dying all at once. Probably partially due to panic, like trying to figure out why the fuck they just lost a player. And it just, the timing worked out horribly. It ended up with like a 1 versus 5 in middle because Floss was smart enough to recognize Pizza Hut was a mid player. They swarmed mid, they got mid back, they capped out like almost immediately. So it ends up going from like, We're Gonna Lose is gonna be up by 100 to it's basically a tie game. Pizza Hut cannot get back into the server. He keeps lagging out, lagging back in, lagging out. He ended up getting back in, I think, with like 12 minutes left. As you can see there, he goes 22 and 23, but final score is Floss 472 to 166. Obviously, you can't say for sure would We're Gonna Lose have capped out like 2-3 more times? Would they just kept the fucking ball rolling? Or, could Floss have defended that situation, not even given up that second cap? Obviously, it's all a big what-if scenario. But it really is unfortunate for We're Gonna Lose. They looked better in this match than they have all season. They've kept improving week in and week out. They didn't even have, realistically, their best player in Benzer. He didn't get to play at all this season, actually, which is kind of annoying. But, I think that We're Gonna Lose kept showing strides that they were taking each week. Floss had Fincher, who's always so good, heavying, and King Yo. 35 for Fincher, 30 for King Yo. Bullet was ringing, sniping. He actually had a really good game sniping. 20 and 29 on allies, whatever. I mean, We're Gonna Lose was up their ass for the first, like I said, 5 minutes or whatever there. On We're Gonna Lose side, of course, Dennis, gotta keep the Dennis going. Skinto had 33 on the STG. Grim and Nuns had 29 apiece. 3-sided quarter on the sniper with 28. Softerson Long by herself, basically 23 and 24, and Pizza Hut with 22 in about a half of a half. He was getting a lot of kills in mid. That's the thing too. It wasn't just like they lost any 6. They lost a mid player who was getting a lot of like double nades, nade kill and a Stas kill, 2 nade kills and a Stas kill, whatever. Just a bunch of multi kills. And then We're Gonna Lose his allied side. Pizza Hut was lagging out again. You know, they played 5-on-6 off and on for this entire half. Nunziato still had himself a hell of a half there, 36 and 28. So did Skin with 29 and 26. Quarter again with 25. But then on Floss side, yet again, Fincher, this time 37. He topped frags. Overall, he's such a good heavy. He's like guaranteed at least 135 half every time he plays. Usually he can pull off both, but you're pretty much guaranteed like one of the 2 halves to be excellent. King Yo was second with 33. Yaya had a really good half. He was getting a lot of like 3 and 4Ks. Bullet Fodder, 31 and 26 sniping on Axis is impressive. A lot of people were like, what the fuck is Bullet doing sniping? And then he had like a very impressive game overall sniping Harrington. And then Nightmares with the Stas going mid kind of was doing what Pizza Hut was doing, getting like nothing but multi-kills and just having a lot of impact, breaking mid, timing everything really well. It was good. Obviously, a huge Axis half there to win by 171 points. And really just stomped out any hope that We're Gonna Lose had of winning at that point. But good season of We're Gonna Lose. They did continue to improve week in and week out. They're eliminated now. I hope that they stick together for whenever the next season is, because I mean, you play your best match in the last match of the season when you're getting eliminated. You got to look at that and be like, what could we pull off with more time together, more practice, a better idea of our roles? If one guy hadn't lagged out at the worst possible time. You know, it's all those what ifs. But Floss gets to move on, and they will be facing the big dogs of the Bronze Division in DBA, Nice, Spicy Butthole, whatever you want to call them. We'll get to that later. Hey, Chi in the house. Let's go, baby. I'm good, Corey. I'm good. I feel, other than the fact that I wasted 2 hours yesterday recording the Dodcast just to find out I hadn't recorded any sound. Other than that, I'm great. That was just so fitting for me to happen. It's always some kind of technical difficulty with me. Alright, so the other thing that happened in Bronze was actually a semifinal got played. That was a quarterfinal between Floss and We're Gonna Lose, a best of 1. Romario and Washed Up played their semifinal on the same day. They were just way ahead of schedule. They didn't want to wait. I did not get to cast this matchup, Lennon. I did get to cast Railroad 2. Lennon, Romario won 336 to 314. It was a really, really close match. I know nothing about what happened in this. Just looking at, this looks like it might have been first half. I'm not sure, but Matt and Zaps the bars, of course, for Romario, 30 apiece. Van Aki, always one of the top fraggers for this team, 28 with the Garan, 23 on LZL, 21 on Man the Sniper, and Byrne making his return, as well as making his return to the light class, which is always so fun to watch. He's always doing crazy shit with the Thompson and the Unter. And then on the Axis side for Washed Up, Casino Royale continued his hot streak. Just, South American DOD is everywhere. Dropping bombs, 36 kills for him on the car. There wasn't much else frag-wise. Defrag had 25, War Within 23 on the Sniper, and then he had 3 guys under 20. So, I mean, you're playing defense a lot on Axis side of Lennon anyways, most of the time. If things don't go really well for you, you're probably standing at your first flag and trying to retake long for the majority of the half. But Cass was able to stack up 36 kills with the car, which is impressive. They lost by about 112, so it's not a terrible Axis half. If that's the Axis half, you're going to head into your allied side thinking like, hey, that wasn't so bad, we can win this thing. As you can see, they came very, very close here. 219 to 129, they only lose by 80, so it was really like just one cap, and they win this thing. For Romario, Now this time it was their rifles, as always. Their rifles, their rifles are just so good. Whatever configuration they have, whether LZL, Vanaki, Rafinha, Berinia, Lobaton, Zap sometimes Stasis, Burn when he's on the Unter. This time it was LZL with 35, which LZL and Vanaki and Burn will be a theme here. Vanaki had 33, Burn with 23, and then Man 19, Matt 17, Zap 16 on the other side. ProStar with 26, Casino with 26, War Within with 26, all tied for second behind Bullet Fodder, leading by example there with 29. Defrag with 23, Bromley with 21. Just a really level team effort across the board here. 150 kills spread out across 6 guys, and they were all basically right around 25. Came up just short, though. You lose by that 90. That was 90, not 80. I said 80. Math is a problem sometimes, so really a cap out would have been overkill. Unfortunately, they came up just short. I did not see a second of this match, so I have no idea what happened, but it looks like Romario did a good job of not giving up too many caps and of being able to apply the pressure back in the other direction and not just get a couple flags and then have them go back against them. They were able to actually full cap at least, I'm saying twice, based on that number of points. Probably got to be twice. If not it's got to be twice, not a third time. If it was a third time, I think they'd have more, unless the rest of the time was just literally them down to their last flag, either defending or getting capped on, and they never had a double cap. I'm doubting that that's what happened, though. So, very close game there, but then things got a little bit ugly. So, it went to Railroad 2. This was the second half. This was the first half. It's so hard to see. Fucking Railroad 2, man. The textures are like white, and it makes that green blend in a little bit. They did full cap once each half. Okay. Ha 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 ha. I'm going to say most of exactly what I said yesterday. Mostly. It's just etched into my brain now at this point. Okay, so right off the bat here on Railroad 2, Romario just came out fucking flying on their Axis side. LZL, I think, had a fast 4K immediately in 4-way with the car. Vanaki top frag with 37, LZL at 35. Burn, coming on a train, had a lot of 3 and 4 kill clip. Really, it was LZL was getting fast 4 to 6 kill streaks multiple times. Burn was doing it coming out of train. Although the thing is, Casino did a really good job of limiting the damage Burn could do. The thing was, Burn just was so opportunistic. Whenever he did get an opening on a train, he seemed to be getting 3 or more kills. And just fucking endless pressure applied to the rail yard flag. Mand had 24 as well, sniping. And then the heavies didn't really have much to do because the rifles were just doing everything. Literally, they could do no wrong in this half. LZL, it seemed like, had a movie clip every time I watched him. Vanaki was getting, every life he had 2 kills, it seemed like, carring apartments. As an apartments car, I love to see it. Well, I guess now I'm just a sniper, but I was an apartments car. But on the washed up side, it looks like, God, it blends in with that stupid white background. Casino had 26. So Cass had the top frag there again. It looks like War with... Oh, no, Bromley had 30. Bromley had 30, that's right. Bromley had a really good half going long. And he was kind of floating around the map a bit, but doing a really good job of not ceding any control that washed up could manage to muster, rotating around into underpass, grabbing the 2, getting to sandbag, stuff like that. But yeah, War Within at 21, Defrag with 20, ProStar 20, Bullet, I think, swapped to Train at one point. To try to get Casino some more looks at multi-frag opportunities. Let Bullet kind of just hold train car and Casino get out and try to do some shit in mid. I know there was some class swapping as well, just trying to get a new look, trying to stop these guys and see if something else could work to break through. Unfortunately, Romario just seemed like they were always there to break. Washed Up was able to break through and get the right frags a few times, but Romario was always getting favorable respawns or ending up with a guy still alive somewhere, slinking underneath the radar to get a break. It was a 165 to 13 half. I think they full capped 3 times. Yeah, I think it was 3. And then the rest of it was hold points. It was just they couldn't have played a better half on Axis side. You know, like you look at what the heavy scores were here, and it really didn't even matter. Like they could have gone 10-40, and it wouldn't have mattered because of how well LZL played, how well Vanek played, and how well Byrne played coming out of train. Yeah, you know, like the thing is, train car, people will talk a lot about it being a bitch route, and it sucks. And I know it can be unfun if you're playing against somebody who's trying to make it unfun, because that is a strategy in train car. As annoying as it can be, it's something that some players rely upon, because if you can't just run through and be a frag star going train, then you might as well make sure you don't give it up. The thing is, really, train can be one of the best like secondary options for offense. If you have a guy that can push through train the way that Byrne did here, or the way that Casino was doing, Casino got out to the platform flag a lot and was getting, 2 and 3 kills at a time, holding them in spawn, kind of giving an opening for Washed Up to be able to push behind it. But like that train car side, let me tell you, and it's something you're seeing innovations out of teams on certain maps. Thunder was kind of the team that took train car, and rather than have it be like you just put your third rifle there and they just kind of sit and wait and then go for a cap out, we kind of started doubling up on it, tripling up on it. When I was rifling, going ticket, and Jared was going train, it would be the kind of thing where we'd be swapping back and forth, timing double pushes through ticket, having the sniper come watch train. Train car can be very valuable. It's just a matter of how you choose to use it and if you can take advantage of the way the other team is playing. So, I get when some people hate train car. I personally hated it for a long time until on Thunder we chose to take it and make it a strength. Sending Ryan there on Axis, and then I'd be carring four-way, and we'd be playing off of each other, double pushing through four-way, double pushing through train, covering up for each other, making it feel less like just two guys sitting there banging heads at each other. And you saw it here with Romario, and I'm pretty sure that the same kind of thing happened on the other half. Let's see here. Oh no, that's I've already spent more time on this than I did in the first version, but so. This half, Vanek had 41. He definitely top fragged overall. He ended up with 78. LZL with 35. He ends up with 70 flat. And then Byrne with 32 was just so aggressive through train car with the Thompson. You don't see too many people use the Thompson Ultra anymore. It's become the third rifle, the Staskarand. But Byrne is still trying to bring it back with that 32 kills on Allied side. Again, doing such a good job of making train an avenue for offense. The heavies got to do a little bit more here. Zaps at 27, Matt 23, Man 22, just a crazy. You end up with 180 kills. You have 6 players on your team. That's an average of 30 kills per player. That's pretty much like as good a half as you can ever want. Obviously, you can get more kills than that, but that's averaging 30 kills per guy is pretty fucking nuts. Bromley, top fragged overall for Washed Up. He had 60 in a tough loss. I mean, that's impressive all by itself, being able to find that many frags in a game like this. War Within at 26, Defrag 23, Cast 22, Bullet 11 going train. It was a 112-2 win. And overall, the final score was 277-15. Romario wins, moves on to the semifinals on the other side. Or no, they move on to the finals. What am I saying? This was a semifinal. Romario is waiting in the finals now for the winner of Nice versus Flost. And Washed Up, it was a good season. The starting 6 were kind of rotating in and out a lot. They're a team that I had high hopes for going into it. And I think those top 3 teams in bronze all could beat each other any given day, depending on how they were playing and what map it was. It's unfortunate that team's got to go at this point. I really did think that Washed Up could be a team to play spoiler on Nice or DBA in a final situation, but Romario just came out absolutely flying on Railroad 2. I'm not sure who picked what maps, but based on the way they looked on Railroad 2, I can only imagine that. Oh, there we go. Oh, I see a bunch of people coming in now. That's what I thought, Bullet. Yeah, that the switching of Casino there was in particular to just try to get some pressure off mid. Washed Up. Oh, you guys picked Railroad 2. Damn, Romario looked really good on Railroad 2. That sucks when you pick that map, though, and it turns out that, the other team is salivating. We've had that happen before. Yeah. See, that's understandable. you end up having that close of a match just the previous week against the undefeated team. You got to think you're going to be strong on it. Damn. That's crazy. I wonder if Romario switched anything up or what. Kevin in the house. That's so... I mean, realistically, it was probably just... It comes down to Romario just having an exceptionally strong game out of a couple guys, you know. LZL and Van Aki both played out of their minds. And I think it was just one of those situations where... And Burn. Oh, Burn and Train Car, that is a huge difference, too. Damn. I didn't even realize. That's right. He wasn't hardly playing before. And the way that he plays Train, when it works, it's so hard to stop. You know, obviously you got a Unter running around behind enemy lines. It's just good luck. I've seen it like 3 or 4 different times with Burn now, where he's just been an absolute unstoppable juggernaut coming out of Train. But yeah, that's the semifinals on the other side of the bracket. Romario waiting in the finals to see who wins the Flossed versus Nice DBA TBD Spicy Butthole. The team of 1,000 names, all of which I find to be absolutely hilarious, and we'll see how that goes. Moving on to Silver, there was some pretty fucking interesting matchups here. One that I didn't get to see at all, and one that I did cast all the way through. I'll start off with the one I didn't see. Goose Patrol versus No Go. Goose won 351 to 217 on Harrington. Debo, I think, second top fragged overall, but he had 46 on Axis. Reptar 38, Gall with 28, Nicholson 22, Hopper 16, DB 19. And on the other side, of course, Corey Price, 36 kills. He's a god at this map going long. He can do it by himself, and you will never kill him. He's just a freak of nature at going long. Austin, I'm guessing rifling mid. I'm not sure if Austin rifled or recoil rifled. I'm assuming Austin rifled going mid, though. And then the heavies, Spoon at 26, Allen at 25, Deidre with 14, and Recoil with 15. No-Go won this half. You know, obviously 50 points, Allied side Harrington. It's not optimal, but still winning your Allied side is the most important thing, first and foremost. Sometimes it sucks getting to start as Allies, because then you're setting the score. I know I always prefer to get Allies second on Harrington and Lennon, because then you know how much you have to cap out. You don't have to, like, be thinking about it every time. You can be pushing for a cap. Like, we have to get this cap, and then we have 5 minutes to get 3 more or anything like that. But No-Go got the win here. It looks like... So, Reptar, I'm pretty sure, went mid, and I'm guessing that Debo card Mountain. Gall actually took the Stas here. I'm imagining so that Debo could take the car and Reptar could take the car. He might have even gone long. Not positive on that, but I would imagine that Debo was going Mountain just based on the scores all over the place here. I can't imagine he had 46 kills going long while Corey had 36 against him. So Debo being the sort of anti-heavy team here, being able to lock down Spoon and Allen, who is one of the best heavy teams there is, and he did a good job of it. You know, only 51 kills combined between the two of them. A lot of deaths, so Debo was being a menace wherever he was going with 46 fucking kills. And in the end, No-Go was able to still gut out the half by 50. Then second half, I caught like the very tail end of this. I saw Goose Patrol cap once, like in the last 3 minutes or something. It ended up being 225 to 39, so 186 point victory this half on Allies. Corey, again, had a good half going long with 28. Austin, 34, going mid, whether he was sniping or rifling. I'm sure somebody's telling me in the chat so I can find out. Yeah, for sure, Chi. They're all so skilled on that team. It's ridiculous. Reptar got the top frag overall, though, for Goose Patrol. Both, he had 38 on Axis, 40 here on Allies. Debo ended up with 30, so he had 76 overall, just a little bit back of Reptar. Gall had 31, Hopper had 30, a really good bar half. Nicholson, 25, DB, 24. Nobody went negative, which is really impressive on Goose Patrol's side. But Reptar just having, like, his best game, definitely, I'd say, in a KTP scenario. It's something that I mentioned after the draft that we won on Big Alaska, where it was like one of those days where I was in the Matrix and I was killing everybody at will, but Reptar was a guy who was able to kill me more than I'd say anybody else did in any one match. He was just, in particular on Allied's side of Harrington, with a Garand, he was just like one-Garanding me all over the place. I kept talking about it, and here he is showing it in practicality in an actual KTP match with a 78 bomb and 40 on Allies. Good job to him. This is another example of 180 kills. So your team's averaging 30 across the 6 players. Nobody went negative. Just a really strong team effort across the board from Goose Patrol. No-go. Nobody really had like a particularly bad half. It's Axis side Harrington. When you got a team that's clicking like that, where everybody is positive or even, you're just playing defense so much, and you're having to flood your last flag, whether it be long or mountain. It's just back against the wall for so long. There's only so much you can do without the other team kind of making a mistake and throwing you a bone there, where like a couple of, a TK at a bad spot or a mental error not going for a flag or taking a bad route somewhere. It's unfortunate because No-Go, everybody loves No-Go. They're one of the best teams in the game every season of Silver so far. And, Goose Patrol, I don't think anybody would have expected this at the beginning of the season. Picking up Debo, though, being able to pair up Debo with Gall as two really, top-notch guys who have played gold predominantly, that made all the difference in the world for Goose Patrol. Obviously, we've seen it. I think Debo's played 3 matches, and he's been the top fragger or second top fragger for them in all 3 of them. This time he rifled. It looks like that might be what they're going to do going forward, having Hopper and Nicholson as a heavy team and just stacking up their rifles with Debo and Gall, which could be very formidable going forward. We'll see. DB on the sniper. He's a really good sniper. He plays more defensively, and he can really catch you off guard when he chooses to turn it up and make a push on you, which we saw on Lennon a couple weeks ago. The way he was playing on Axis side Lennon in Apartments was very interesting. But good season in No-Go. It's a tough way to go out, on paper, this is such a good roster. They just ran into, in a best of one situation, ran into a team with a hot hand on it here. And, it's unfortunate. I've been there, obviously. Season 1 against T3, getting knocked out in a best of 1, where you feel like maybe if it's a best of 3, we can turn things around. Maybe one season there's a best of 3 in the quarterfinals eventually. I personally would be fine to play best of 3s for all the playoff matches, but I know not everybody's into that. But good season to them. I'm sure they'll be back. There's always a No-Go in DOD in some form. I couldn't tell you the last time there was a season of DOD without No-Go. So hopefully this roster will stick around in mostly its entirety, if not fully, because it's a lot of talent on this team that I think can benefit from playing together even longer. Good game to Goose Patrol. They're moving on to the semifinals. I believe they play Lads, which we'll get to later. I think we definitely know the maps for that series. Hopefully by now everybody posted the maps for their best of 3. I haven't checked again, but see, there we go. Tony Confident in the house. No-Go will be back one way or another. Okay, Recoil was sniping. There we go. That's what I thought. Ha 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 ha, TiVo. Yep. He's gone down to make a point in Silver, clearly. And he's making that point over and over again. So where is the other matchup? There it is. Oh, no, that wasn't it either. Where is it? I swear I just saw it. There it is. So the other matchup in Silver was Insomnia versus Jetty. This was another instance of a team having their best match of the season unfortunately come in a match that they get eliminated from the season. And the thing is, with this Jetty team, we talked about it a lot on here. It just came down to getting one of those last 2 roster spots, having somebody who can fill a role, who can make good comms, who's got experience, will throw good nades, understands how to go routes and everything. And in this case, they got the perfect ringer in Corey Price. Does not matter what his score was. This half, whatever, 17 and 26. This half, 26 and 23, second top fragging. The score is irrelevant. Having Corey Price, a guy with so much experience, so much understanding of the game, how to rotate, how to play his routes, made a massive difference for Jetty here. In this half, now this match, 325 to 320 in favor of Insomnia, it very easily could have gone Jetty's way. There was one point on this half where Jetty was pushing to cap out, 9 had ninja'd up Sundial, got to the Axis first flag, got it just before Jetty was able to get the Allied first. Then 9 got like 6 or 7 kills. He kind of pulled a Kellen Rust just with a bar. Held on to that Axis first for a while. They weren't able to get him off it. And in that time, Insomnia was able to cap some of their flags back. There was another instance where Sean Allity, on the cast, I was looking and I was like, Insomnia's got to flood their first flag. Hopefully nobody's going over to bridge by themselves. And I saw Sean going to bridge by himself and was like, this could be a huge mistake unless he goes straight to street and gets that flag or something. He did, and then it ends up turning the tide. They're able to break out of that first flag scenario, and that one ends up turning around too. They lose both. Jetty loses both the double caps. Sean gets mid back. He goes up short ramp, holds onto that so that the team can cap bridge behind it. It was a couple of very dicey situations for Insomnia to be able to work out of. Otherwise, Jetty would have capped potentially 2 more times, and they win this game by a convincing amount, rather than losing by 25. Sean Allity, of course, he top fragged overall, for sure, without even looking at the other screenshot. I can tell you that. He had 33 on Allies, 9 at 29. He had a lot of key kills in that half. Kaboom, in his first game back, 19 and 27, but he'll be fine. He's a ridiculous heavy. I assume he's going to play next week. And then Head Like a Hole, 17. Hip, 15 and 14. Did not really see many guys to kill. It's just one of those things. If you're sniping Allies predominantly on Anzio, there's times you just don't see people for long spans of time. And that was what was going on with Hip. Didn't want to give up the plaza cap at any point in time, so he was kind of hanging out underneath church, on the top of church, in the ladder window, waiting for anybody to show their face. On the Jetty side of things, it was John Gale top fragging with 26 and 19. Then it was pretty even with everybody else. 23 on Riv, 22 on Ian, 20 on Heisey and Modgers, 17 on Corey. Just very even frag distribution. They did a good job of not getting capped on too much this half. 107 points, that's not bad at all. On Axis side, you're feeling good about it. Then you go into the second half, and they look great here. Everything was looking great on Allied side. There's just a couple situations where things turned off the back of one guy. It was Sean Allity. He had 43 kills with a car. There was one point where I think he was one of 2 guys left alive. He was on bridge and just running from basically short ramp to Z. Got 5 kills with the car, just like on his way through, moseying on by. It was ridiculous. He had 43 kills overall this half, which is nuts. Basically was the reason in the end that Insomnia was able to hold on to this lead by the amount that they did. 9 also had a couple of really key moments on Axis side with multi-kills. One time he broke Plaza. I think it was 2 STG kills and then a sniper kill. Purdy played well both halves, kind of being the more passive of the two with Sean. Kaboom and 9 did a good job in Street. Hypnotic, again, didn't really have too much to do, but got the kills when he needed to, and Head Like a Hole did his role well as the third rifle. On the Allied side, Ian had the weakest half of everybody, but he was kind of getting naded out of Plaza a lot. Insomnia did a good job of their nade placement, because sometimes it's the only way to get a sniper out of Plaza. Like, you can peek them all you want, you can try the elbow peek. It's so easy to fall back to cover as an Allied side sniper, but Insomnia, rather than even take that chance, we're just nading the shit out of them. But Riv with 29, of course, on the bar, leading the way. John and Corey both at 26. Modgers at 25. Steve at 23. They came so close. Like, there was a couple instances. One where Corey, again, kind of pulled like a Kellen, got up to the first flag of the Axis without them knowing it, was able to kill a wave of them. They couldn't get that last flag from behind. It was another crazy situation where Jetty was so close to pulling it off, and just the timing doesn't work out. I think it was Street that they needed to get back, and they just couldn't do it. 9 killed River Oyster prone diving for Street, and that would have been a winning cap out right there, but coming up just short in the end. It's unfortunate. This really showed, I think, what Jetty can be, going up against one of the best teams in Silver and having a guy like Corey in there filling in. Just anybody who understands the game on that level makes it a night and day difference for this team. They have like 4 really good players, guys who you would say are gold players, It's just that you really need a full team of people that are really subscribe to the way that you're playing and being able to play their roles to a T. You know, you don't have to be some big fragger. You don't have to be going out there and dropping 40 kills in any half. You don't have to be particularly good with any one class, but just understanding how to play a route, making good calls, throwing good nades, little things like that. Just the littlest really the littlest things in the game. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to get to that point until now, having Corey Price ring. You know, Frank and Dan Kaliz both. Well, Dan had never played DoD before this season. Frank is an older player who he does understand DoD. He just was not able to play enough to get back to that point. Which is why I kept saying, watch out for Jetty come playoff time, but they never really were able to be active enough as a full team to get those couple of guys fully up to par with where they could be. And unfortunately, they're knocked out now, you know. RIP to Jetty, obviously. I have played for Jetty before, so it's unfortunate to see. But Insomnia, I think everybody kind of knew they'd be in this situation in the preseason. They lost Illusion. It looked like that might be a big bump. They brought in Kevin Purdy, who's a DoD legend. He is just getting better and better as the weeks go on. And then obviously losing Gandhi, but now you're able to bring in Kaboom, who is a natural heavy. You know, Gandhi was doing a good job with the heavy, but Kaboom is an actual heavy. And that is quite a good replacement to be able to bring in for a heavy spot under any circumstances. So Insomnia going to move on. They get to face Clinic, which is a rematch of maybe Clinic's closest match ever in Silver. It was very close. Like I want to say it was like 9 points. I don't know. I can't go back and look. I'll check the scoreboard, but it was a very close match. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and what the maps are for everything. But moving on to gold. Where is it? Okay, so this match I did cast. I'll do the one I didn't cast. Oh, wait, I casted both of them. All right, well, first of all, T3 versus iFart. This was on Harrington. T3 ends up winning 354 to 166 on the back of a massive performance by Till. James had 42 with the stops on Axis. He had 37 on Allies, 79 kills overall. I didn't see if he was doing anything in particular, if he was kind of like playing super passive and trying to rock iFart into sleep and push into him, if he was proning around, if he was just straight up dumping on them. I have no idea. I was trying to switch to him as much as I could, but obviously on Harrington, so much is going on in mid. You end up watching that a lot. So I'm sure he wasn't happy about that, because he's never happy if I don't watch him enough. But he did a really good job. Like, that's not something that needs to even be said when you have 79 kills and top frag on a team like T3. They really put the screws to him. It's a little bit unfortunate you saw here for iFart, and this is something I talked about on the Dodcast yesterday, but I won't go into as much detail. I was just still a little salty about it, but T3 was really up iFart's ass to start, to go live. And so iFart just kind of was like, okay, you know, like, these guys are pissed, we're just going to go live. And they ended up playing without Nightmare for like 4 minutes or something, 3 or 4 minutes. It was interesting because you saw a little bit of the way that DoD mines work in this case. T3 refused to go for mid because Nightmare was 0-0 on the scoreboard. So they're definitely thinking Nightmare is somewhere waiting to break. We haven't found him yet. We can't go for mid yet. In reality, Nightmare's AFK and spawn. And then when he finally gets back, he walks off the spawn ramp straight into a nade. He dies, and at that point, it's the catalyst for T3 to jump on mid and cap it. It was so funny to see on the stream the way that worked out. But I think it was kind of shitty of T3 to be up their ass about going live. Now, I wouldn't say that if it was like somebody has work, somebody's at work, whatever, like which we've seen in the past. In this case, it was somebody on our team has to go play another video game. Not for a match, for a practice. To me, that's not a good enough excuse, you know? Like, that, to me, that didn't make much sense. That iFart had to play 5-on-6 for any amount of time because a guy on your team had to go play another video game. I just don't think that that's fair. You know, it is what it is. iFart didn't have to say ready, but T3 was really up their ass about it to the point where they just went live with 5 players. Again, I'm not going to get into it as much as I did yesterday because I went on a whole rant about how shitty that was of iFart to have to play 5-on-6 for a couple minutes. But, you know, like, I play CSGO with the team too. Practice, they can wait fucking 2 extra minutes. It's fine. To me, that was just, of all the excuses for why a team needs to go live before they have all 6 players at their computer, that was not a valid excuse. In the end, it might have worked out for iFart, though, because that might have stalled T3 from getting mid for even a little longer than they could have. So maybe it was actually a little bit of a benefit for them that Nightmare went AFK. Probably not, but the way it played out was hilariously interesting enough that T3 didn't get mid for the first few minutes, and Nightmare didn't have to do anything. Just the threat of Nightmare was enough to keep them off the cap. Overall, though, obviously T3's side, of course, their rifles, No Name and Leo, 32 and 30 apiece. They're on Axis. PDX was 28 and 19. Nick Patton, 27 and 22, is a excellent half on Axis side sniping. Harrington, Bud doing his thing at 23 and 20. He's the passive guy. Lets PDX and anybody else on his route go off and do whatever they want, and he makes sure they don't lose that route. Nightmare still top frag, 30 and 26, 24 on Sokka, 23 on Manor. Jizz, Scotty, and Kum 18 and 17 there. It was Jizz and Scotty going long, and Till was just having a hell of a game. They couldn't get anything going against him. He did an excellent job of locking down 2 good rifles at long. Obviously, T3 wins their Axis side by 40. That is a really good Axis half. If you win your Axis half by 1, that is a good Axis half. They, too, had over 180 kills. So, again, you see that. A team averaging out to 30 kills apiece. That's kind of like when you know you're going to be successful. It's excessive. Like, 180 kills is more than you're going to get most of the time as a team. But going over to the Allied side, though, now, if you lose your Axis side or your Allied side, you're not expecting to win Harrington usually. It happens. It's happened to me in a finals match before where we won our Axis side and then we lost the match to a last-second cap out. So it wasn't like iFart was totally out of it. They still had a chance, obviously not able to pull it off in the end. PDX dropped to 40. Till continued the hot streak with 37. And then the rifles of T3 still, No Name and Leo, 31 apiece. Leo had 61. No Name had 63 overall. Bud with 25 and 19. Nick, 24 and 18 as the bottom fragger. Just living a nice, easy sniper's life on Allied side. Harrington. For iFart, of course, Nightmare, as always, 34 kills. Manor at 28. Everybody else was below 20. It's tough on Axis side of this map in general, but in particular against a team like T3, who plays a very pubby style, in the same way that I was talking earlier about the way that Thunder kind of innovated the use of train, ticket, and four-way on Railroad 2. T3 has kind of innovated this playstyle on Harrington that's very pubby. They have routes, but most of them don't really stick to them. They're floating around the map freely. There'll be times you'll see both heavies at long for T3 and their rifles and their sniper at mountain. They just play this very free-flowy, puggy, whatever kind of a play style, and it means you can't get a beat on them. In the same way that you saw this demonstrated with Nightmare on the death notice never popping up, being the reason T3 couldn't push certain spots or chose not to, they take advantage of that on the other side, where you're looking at the death notice, you're saying, this guy goes my route, this guy goes my route. Okay, we've killed both those guys. We can do this now. We can push, we can cap. However, T3 usually has a 3rd, 4th, 5th, sometimes 6th guy in mid or at ladder or at long. They play it totally based off of feel and instinct, and it works very well. Nobody has found a way to really counter that yet. I think that there are ways to counter it. Really, it's just you need to kind of turn off your brain when it comes to your tendency to base all of your decision makings on who goes your route and when you see them die. You need to just turn that off against these guys on Harrington, because it will never be correct, or very rarely. You know, like you kill Nick and Leo in mid, I guarantee No Name is waiting. And if No Name isn't waiting, Till is probably waiting. And if Till isn't waiting, there's probably a heavy like PDX waiting. You saw PDX straight off the first initial go mid and get 3 kills. I think it was like 2 STGs and an 8 kill. These guys don't abide by routes hardly ever, but in particular on this map, they are very tough to pin down where they're going to be at any point in time, and that's, you know, again, something that they've innovated, and nobody has found a way to really beat it yet. Till also had the most flags by a lot there, so, I mean, obviously long at Harrington, you're going to be capping flags back and forth a lot, but really, really impressive game for Till, getting the MVP there. T3 moves on. iFart eliminated, unfortunately. They're a team with a lot of potential, so much skill on it, If you had Caffrey playing, he's one of the best heavies in the game. That right there makes that team very different. If they just had like that set six of their best players, they could beat anybody. But unfortunately, it was like a revolving door of a few spots on this team. Nightmare only played, I think, 3 matches this season. He's definitely the most important guy on that roster. Him and Caffrey, who hasn't played, I think, since like the beginning of Season 2, like week 2 or 3 of Season 2. Very unfortunate, because if you have, say, Nightmare, Caffrey, Kum, Saka, Manor, Scotty, or Jizz, or SZ, or SQ, whoever, that's a really good team. You got guys who can pop off at any point in time on all the classes there, and good play style mixes. Unfortunately, though, just, when your best player is only there like half the time or less, that alone is going to be tough to overcome, let alone your second best player and your explosive heavy, which is something that is severely lacking in DoD these days in general. He hasn't played in a season and a half. It's really tough to get by that and have any level of success without they'd have to be like really committed to practicing every single day with the set starting 6, really locking things down and trying to gel together as much as humanly possible. And not too many people have the time for that. So it's unfortunate. RIP to iFart in Season 3. Good season to them. Not able to get in the win column in the end and pull off the miracle like they did in Season 1. Well, Typical did, but still, they're a good team. They're a bunch of good guys. We all love them. Hopefully they'll be back in Season 4, whenever that is, and they'll have like a set lineup of guys. Maybe get Caffrey back at that point. Really, they forced you guys to reschedule. See, I didn't know that, no. Due to what, DoD? Why are people playing DoD Source? Why are people playing DoD Source again? Did everybody forget that we've done this before? We've done this before. In like 2005. No, yeah, I didn't know that. That's crazy. I thought DoD Source was dead like last season. We did it before, I swear to God. We've all done this before. We're like, DoD Source, it's like DoD, but different. And then everybody, after like a few weeks or a few months, is like, why do we play this game? It sucks even worse than 1.3. It's like 1.3's level of brokenness, but just with slightly worse movement. I mean, hey, I think it's a good thing to have both DoD games alive, and they're not, like, cutting across each other. I have yet to purchase it. I mean, good for them for getting the game back alive like we've managed to do over here. 19 teams is no joke. God damn. Now I'm sure I'll get roped into playing Source at some point, too. But I won't do it. But I probably will. Unfortunately. God damn it. Alright. So, as we found out, we don't need to feel bad for Fartfinder because it turned out that they were the ones who had forced the rescheduling to begin with. So both of them were forcing start times due to other games, but it was really Fartfinder that were the bad guys in the end. So that is a correction made after the fact. Now, the other gold match, and T3 obviously going on to play against Icy Hot, we'll get to that. Why So Serious versus Rat Pack. As you can see there, this game was a little bit of a shit show. As I kind of thought, I mean, I didn't say it was going to be a shit show, but I said on the Dodcast, of all the maps for Rat Pack to end up on, I think this is the last one that you want to play Why So Serious on. They're a team full of experience. They could all play Anzio in their sleep. They're guys who, you have Booten and Paul, who are guys that will direct traffic, IGL sort of thing. And that's very important on this map, being able to rotate around, really take advantage of things like the sewers that you can use to your advantage. Just being able to float around the map in advantageous ways. You saw out of Why So Serious big time. If I'm Rat Pack, I would have wanted to play them on anything but Anzio. Rat Pack has so much frag power to it, but obviously you see they're more of a pug, and they just, I don't know, man. Like when I saw that it was Anzio, I did not love that for them. Obviously, it didn't work out in the end. Hindsight's 2020, but goddamn, like Why So Serious just came out looking godly. Justin Lynch, who, not to get too deep into this conversation again from the cast the other day, but Talking about the MVP thing, like Louis picked his MVPs. I think that if there's going to be an MVP, it should be done by a captain vote too. Like all the captains vote somebody who's not on their team. I think Justin Lynch would have a very strong case for the MVP. I think I would give the MVP a gold to either him or Vertex. Realistically, I just can't give it to anybody on T3. I can't give it to anybody on Thunder. Both those teams have like 3 or 4 guys in the fucking top 10 or whatever. You can't say any one of those players is any more valuable than any of the other ones. But on a team like Icy Out, a team like Why So Serious, Justin Lynch and Vertex are so valuable that those teams, if you take those guys away, I don't think that they are going to win as many matches as they did with them. So that was another thing I got into yesterday. Again, I don't want Louis to be taking any flack on this. I know this turned into a whole thing on the Shoutcast because I was like, I keep getting screwed out of the KD ratio title. The first season, it was by Hudson, who played 2 matches. Now this season, it's by Nightmare, who played 2 or 3 matches. We got to have a qualifying number of matches. Like, you got to play over half the matches to get a counting stat title, guys. Come on. But yeah, that was just my opinion when it comes to MVP stuff. Like, when you have a team that's just so stocked full of talent, you know, like, I'm the worst player on Thunder. You know, like, I'm pretty good at DOD, and I'm the worst player on Thunder. I can't say that anybody on Thunder is that more valuable than anybody else. And the same thing goes for T3. You can't say any one of those guys, if you take them out, is going to be more valuable than someone else on the team. They're all so imperative to have in the lineup. So yeah, just mad props to Justin Lynch, because in a season that looked real dicey for this team, and it looked like they were just going to troll around, even though we all knew that was fucking stupid when they were trying to say that they were a silver team or even a bronze team and tried to gaslight the whole fucking community, which thankfully nobody fell for. But as we all suspected, they are a good team when they choose to not troll. Massive win on Anzio. Justin Lynch top frags overall. Johnny on Axis had a really good half. Booten with the Unter of Pain had a lot of really important kills pushing through Z. Paul and Booten bring such intangibles to the table on this team too with their leadership. On the Rat Pack side of things, Arachnid had an excellent half on Allies, trying to hold down the Plaza. CK at 26, Illusion at 24, PB at 24, Devin with 20, 17 on Grant. You know, like, they lose by 60 here. Now, there was a situation where this could have been made a lot closer. At one point, Arachnid did a really good job of ninjing from Plaza up through Sundial to the Axis first. He didn't just jump on it. He didn't shoot anybody in the back. He had a lot of opportunities to. Played it out for the team. Waited until he was sure that they were going to get street. And now the thing that happens here is that I'm guessing they were saying, like, we're going for street now, while Why So Serious, we're basically at, like, the bottom of the spawn ramp coming up to the Axis first. And Arachnid maybe could have gone out to the first flag at that point and capped it, but you don't know that. Like, you don't want to go play your hand too early at the time. You want to wait to know for sure. So it's one of those, like, getting caught halfway between, but it ended up not mattering because out of nowhere, a fucking nade blew up in his face in Sundial from spawn. Justin Lynch threw a perfectly primed nade into Sundial, ended the chance for a ninja cap right there. If things had gone a little differently, could have been a very close game. Maybe things play out differently in the second half. Unfortunately, though, for Rat Pack, it didn't end up mattering. It seemed like they kind of, like, gave up at a certain point. You know, 457 to 64. Just a massive half by Why So Serious. Booten with 35, Paul with 30, Justin with 33 again, gets 69 total. Very nice. Element with 29, Crod with 24. Again, you see, they had one guy go negative, Johnny. But 173 kills. They almost got up to that 180 mark. And on Anzio, of all maps. PB on the other side. You know, I said it before the match that I felt like Rat Pack should have just had Arachnid snipe double windows going Plaza. The way that Plaza plays now, it's just so much hide and seek, like passive holding shit. And for PB, I think that's a waste of him. He's so good mechanically. I think you want him to be playing bridge, where he can use his aim and his reaction and his good strafe to his advantage. Another idea I think that they could have played with would have been having Devin rifle and PB heavy. PB can certainly heavy. Like, if they want PB going Plaza to spread out, their top players a little bit more, that might have been an idea. Devin is certainly, like, a natural rifle. Again, hindsight is 2020, of course. It's tough because Rat Pack coming into the season, and throughout the season, I think everybody saw as a team that was capable of beating anybody, given the right map. And if they were able to play more together as a team and gel a little bit more, really figure out their roles with each other, I think that they could be an absolutely ridiculous team. Unfortunately, I don't think they got to scrim all that much together. In the end, they sort of played as like a genuine pug all throughout the season. And now the season's over a little early for them at the hands of Why So Serious, which nobody would have expected with the way the season started for Why So Serious. Prone training around Sienna and Railroad 1 and whatever the third map was until Shamil against T3. I think that might have been their most prone training map. Because against us on Rail Yard, they played serious for the first half, and they played so well that I was sure we were going to lose the match. I was like, they just kept this so close on the tougher half. They're probably going to beat us right now. And then they started prone training in the second half. And then they tried to gaslight everybody into believing that they tried for the full 40 minutes, which was insane. It was being casted at the time, I believe, so nobody was fooled by that. But I'm glad that Why So Serious started playing serious eventually, because they very clearly have the capability to be quite a good team. Proven it now, proven everybody right. And now they're moving on to play against Thunder and the semis, which, from what I understand, they really wanted to have happen, to the point where they were, asking Rat Pack if they would just let them win. So, yeah, we'll get to that one later, too. That is the end of the recap. Get to move on to semifinals predictions now. I should probably check the chat again. No, I can pull up the demo if you want me to right now, Dustin. I mean, I will, too, if you really want me to do this right now. Kaboom only lagged out after like 5 minutes of you guys prone training around at Rail Yard. Justin Lynch kept playing the whole time, though. But I will pull up the demo, and the HLTV in particular, to prove that you guys went straight into troll mode second half, and then tried to say you weren't good. Nobody was fooled by this whole thing. It's a good fucking DOD team. Like, anybody who was fooled was just saying they were fooled because they were buddies with everybody on Why So Serious. Nobody actually thought that Why So Serious was trying in those matches and just losing by 400. Second half 5-on-6 was like after the first 5 minutes, and then he came back in. I mean, that's very possible, but all I know is the very first life, nobody came middle. Everybody went train car. 6 guys train car. That was the first call of the half. 6 guys train car. They're all prone. So, whatever the case was, it was like a replay of the Sienna match, so it went straight into like, alright, well, I guess this is what's happening now. All I know is what Brandon said in a ticket afterwards was, we clearly tried our hardest for 40 minutes and were dominated into submission by Thunder. We request that we go down to bronze. And I was like, come on. Nobody's believing this right now. There's nobody who's buying this. But they didn't. And it all ended up being meaningless in the end, because you guys started playing normally the whole time and beating people. And now here we are. Alright, so bronze, let's see here. Oh, I need to go to the other thing. Window. Get it. No. That's not the right one. This one. No. That. With the best headliner ever. Yo, Hopper. Alright. So, on the bronze side of things now, obviously, one half of the finals has already been decided. Big match here, DBA versus Flossed, or TBD, or Nice, or Spicy Buttholes. The team of 1,000 names. You look at this. Oh, I should probably check to see if we have the fucking maps for this before I say anything. Match alerts, match alerts. Rail Yard and Railroad 2. That's only 2 maps. I'm not sure what the third match is. I'll go with it. Alright. So, on the Floss side of things, the lineup has generally been Beluga, Nightmares, King Yo, Fincher, Yaya, and then, like, Joey's played some, MJ's played some, Crimson played one, you know, obviously Bullet rang last week. That 6th spot is a little bit more up in the air. On the DBA side of things, getting interesting, Luke has been back. I don't know if he's still planning to play. If he is, you got Laura, Stealth, Twist, Luke, Die Life, and Stamp. So you got that same heavy team playing between Stamp and Twist that have kept getting better and better together. You add Luke in, who's a goddamn monster, on top of Die Life, who led bronze and everything this season. It makes things very, very tough to play against. I mean, I guess it's possible that one of these guys don't play and Lynx plays, but that doesn't make things all that much better for anybody. Like, Lynx is still very, very good. And is somebody else who has, whenever he's gotten playing time, has gotten better and better. He's close to top fragging every time he's in there. So there's really no sort of respite based on who they have as that 6th guy. The team is stacked to the fucking gills. Apparently, the maps are Railroad 2 and Rail Yard. I don't know what the third map is supposed to be, but Railroad 2 and Rail Yard, I believe we've got at least one matchup between these two teams to go off of here. Maybe not. DBA played washed up there. I can tell you that was a close game, but it's not because DBA has any problems with Railroad 2, as we saw in basically this version of the team in the finals last season against CIS when Kevin had like 137 kills to the point where he was like getting nade kills all over the place. It was like that crazy. Oh, this is what... Okay, they played on Lennon, and it was 950 to 170 for DBA. It's just a spanking there. I'm guessing they're not going to play Lennon again. I think that would probably be the auto ban in that case, but regardless, all I know for sure is it's Railroad 2 and Rail Yard. 3-sided quarter is going to have his hands full with Stealth on those maps, because Kevin sure loves to snipe the railroads. Most snipers do. It's kind of common. We get our own little sniper lofts to do with as we please. But then on top of that, you know, if you do have Luke playing in there, the rifle team of Die Life and Dillard, that is just fucking ridiculous. Laura filling in, whether she's thirding or carring, wherever she's going, like she goes tough routes, going long on Lennon, going train or long on Railroad 2. You know, it's tough. It's tough to play against that rifle team. And then on top of it, Twist and Stamp have had so much chemistry together, continuing to play together. Stamp, in particular, has improved like crazy mechanically, as far as like aim and recoil control and everything. Both these guys have been putting up better numbers and better numbers and better numbers going all the way back to Season 1. And the fruits of that labor have shown this season as they remain undefeated heading into the semifinals. You know, Flossed Fincher is going to be a big... Well, Fincher and King Yo really are going to be kind of like the X factors for Flossed here. King Yo is going to have his hands full with all the rifles. Like, it's not like it's just him against one rifle who is really, really top-notch. It's against all the rifles. If he can have himself a very strong game, Fincher can have himself a very strong game, and 3-sided quarter can find a way to keep Stealth to like under 40 kills a half, that would be good. But, I mean, overall, it's like this team is undefeated. They're beating everybody. They've only had like 1, maybe 2 close maps this entire season. Both these maps cater to the things that they are good at. And I can't see them losing either of these maps at all. Obviously, it's not impossible, but I would say just with the level of depth to that roster, how capable everybody on the roster is of going off and being a hard carry for a half. Like, even if you can hold down Luke and Die Life and Stealth, like, Stamp is going to go off, Twist is going to go off, Laura's going to go off. If Lynx is in, he's going to go off. You know, it's just, there's too much depth there. And Flost has gotten so much better as the season has gone on, and they have a couple guys that can absolutely frag with anybody on DBA, but they're still kind of finding their footing as a team in general. You know, I think they probably need more time to continue to develop and gel together before they're going to really be looking at beating a team like DBA, who has had multiple seasons together, the core of them, you know, made it to a final last season in what was basically bronze, you know, came up just short of a CIS team that was like the fucking phoenix rising from the ashes at that point. But they are the team of destiny this season, it looks like. I got to take them 2-0, you know. I mean, I don't know if maybe that's why Beluga just told me 2 maps, because he's assuming it's going to be 2-0, and I don't need to know the third map, but, you know, I don't think that anybody is being unrealistic about this. DBA realistically should win this whole division. It's going to be a close match, I think, in the finals with Romario. I think that's the one team here that could spoil it for them, especially if they play the way that they did against Washed Up on Railroad 2. That's where the wheels can come off, but this week, you know, I think it's going to be business as usual, doing business at whatever the A stands for. I've forgotten. Spicy buttholes. I'm taking them. TBD. Say like 127 on Rail Yard and like 180 on Railroad 2. I don't think that Floss is going to be able to match just like both the raw chemistry and the raw frag power you have across the board on DBA. I expect King Yo and Fincher to both have really good games. They always do. They've been very reliably good for Floss this season, and I've liked what I've seen out of Floss week in and week out, and the way that they've gotten better and better. If they could just be active and play together as a team more, they can really surprise some people come season 4. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, I gotta take DBA. You know, who wouldn't in this case? It's the same thing as Clinic in the Silver Division. They're just too damn good. Oh shit. Let's see here. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, Fincher is out this week. And Luke is back. Okay. Let's see here. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have made plenty of comments about DBA and being in bronze, too. Do not get me wrong. How is there ad? There shouldn't be ads going off. I removed the ads. It's supposed to just be like the first ad when you open up the stream or something. The pewter division. Oh, this is fucking great. Damn. Oh, that's right, a last-minute cap on Rail Yard between. That was the other really close match. I don't understand how this many ads have popped up. I gotta go check that, because I specifically like went and turned that shit off ages ago. Let me see here. Creator dashboard. Not streaming tools. Settings. No. Moderation. No. Affiliate, I think, is where it's at. Ad-free viewing. Yeah, I have ad-free viewing checked. Let me just show you, just so that we all know I'm not full of shit. Oh, wait, you can see it right there. Yeah. I don't understand how it's still happening. That's fucking weird. I gotta look into that. Alright. I'll have to figure that out sometime. Okay. Where was I? Oh, I did the bronze. I'm going to silver now, I think. Right? I do have people here to back me up on what I'm doing. That's true, I guess. Yeah, they're still like the default ads. Oh my god. Okay. So, silver time. Let me get to that. No, not schedule. Teams. There we go. And get this shit out of here. Alright. So there's In silver, obviously, two clear favorites here. Two teams that realistically could be in gold at any point in time. Obviously, the way things worked out this season, they ended up in silver. Things got moved around a little bit, but Clinic and Lads are both like very capable of being gold teams. Clinic beat Thunder last season. Lads is made up of a large chunk of typical. So like they're the clear favorites when all is said and done. However, now this is where things can get interesting. Clinic and Goose Patrol. So Goose Patrol with the pickup of Debo added to Gall, and with DB as a sniper who could potentially go out and keep Carp held down, who is really like usually the big statistical guy for Clinic, the guy who's going to be dropping the bombs frag wise. I think this is an interesting matchup. Oh, I got to check the fucking maps too. Shit. I think we've got these maps. We do. Okay, so the ban order for these maps: Clinic, ban Harrington; Goose, ban Thunder; Clinic, ban Railyard; Clinic picked Anzio; Goose Patrol picked Lennon; and Railroad 2 was left over. So Anzio, Clinic's pick; Goose Patrol picks Lennon; Railroad 2 is the third map, the decider. Lineup-wise, you got Hopper and Nicholson on the heavies. You got Gall and Debo and Reptar on the rifles. You got DB on the sniper. It's a really good team across the board. Hopper and Nicholson as a heavy team has proven to be quite good. Hopper, we always talk about how much better he's gotten. He just had a really, really great bar half on Harrington. And of course, adding Debo to the mix with this team gives them a whole other layer of ridiculousness. And then on the Clinic side, the KTP Silver Kings, they have yet to lose a map in silver. Not just lose a match, they hadn't even lost a map. They played a best of three, at least one best of three, maybe two, over the 2 seasons they've been in silver, but I'm not positive on this. I said it yesterday too in that cast, but Insom I think isn't going to be there. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Assuming he's not going to be there, it'll probably be Tom, Candy, Suave, Carpenter, Stark, and Vic. Stark and Vic is the heavies. Tom, Candy, and Suave is the rifles. And of course, Carp sniping, who I am a big fan of always. He's kind of a Jaginator type of sniper with the way that he chooses not to scope most of the time. They're, of course, the favorite in this matchup, but in this game, we've seen it before where you can have one guy just like go off. And that can be more than enough to overcome a better team in some cases. You have Debo, you have Gall. Both of these guys can drop bombs. We just saw that Reptar can drop bombs as well. We've seen Hopper drop bombs. We've seen Nicholson drop bombs. We've seen DB drop bombs. In particular, on a map like Lennon on Axis side. Had one of the best Axis Lennon sniper halves I've seen since I've been back in like this version of the meta of DoD with the way that people play. And in particular on Lennon Test, which is a fucking annoying map to snipe on as an Axis sniper. You just don't have as much room at that swing door. You know, they can get across it very quickly. Allied snipers can just be walling you through that pillar and you'll never know that they were there. There's all sorts of fucky things going on in that upper apartments for you to try to deal with as an Axis sniper, but DB made it look easy in that Lennon matchup. I forget who it was against. I guess I could look, but we'll worry about that later. On the other side, Clinic, they are the team of teams. Like, this is a team that, talking about like an even distribution of frags, these guys are doing that week in and week out. They're all good players. Anybody from that team can go and top frag any match. I think Suave was doing it on Railroad 2. I've seen Carp do it a couple times. I've seen Tom do it. I've seen Vic do it. Stark, I think, was the second top fragger on that Railroad 2 match last week or whenever that was. The team is just so good across the board, and they play as a team. They've all played together for a long, long, long time. They know what to expect from one another. They have that kind of like sixth sense about it where they're making good comms, and at times they don't even need the comms because they already understand what their teammates are going to be doing. They all throw good nades, fundamental DoD down to a T, all great mechanics. Made the jump to gold last season, had a rough season, but still beat Thunder, which just was a whole fucking insane thing. And I thought after that week they were going to go and start wrecking everybody. Interestingly, though, they did have Debo on the team for that. Now they're playing against them, so a little bit of a storyline there. Map 1 being Anzio, I got to take Clinic here for the same reason that I had to take Why So Serious against Rat Pack. Like, when it comes to a map like Anzio, teamwork reigns supreme, good rotations reign supreme. Being able to maneuver your way around that map in ways where you can take map control without ceding your own side. You see it a lot with teams on Axis side Plaza where you can kind of just let the allies have it. You know you're going to be favored on Axis side Bridge. If you have a guy who's really comfortable with pushing Z, he kind of functions as like a fourth Plaza player coming around the backside through Z and able to pick off a couple guys as they're in grass, in fruit, in tower, on the cap, whatever. It happens with Thunder all the time where we can't get into Plaza on Axis, but a Dorito or a Tox or a J-Rod will push through Z and shoot a couple people in the back, and then all of a sudden we're able to get Plaza with none of our Plaza team having got any kills to do it. And that I expect to see that out of Clinic. Carpenter is so good at Anzio. I've seen it time and time again out of him, especially Allied side. Good luck getting him out of Plaza. Good luck getting him off Bridge if he gets there. It's so hard to kill him when he's got the drop on you because he's so fast. And even when he misses, he has a Nick Patton type pistol. So he'll probably pistol you from Bridge to the spawn ramp. And Suave with the car, man. Like, every time I watch this guy play with a car, it blows my mind the way he just runs around and is just like flicking onto people. It makes no sense to me. Their heavies play really well together. And Tom is such a smart, like, cerebral kind of player. He can fill in anywhere. Whatever they need him to do, he'll do it well. And he'll do his job. I think on Anzio, like, you know, Goose Patrol will be able to hang because I like the splits that they have on with the routes that they're going. But, like, just overall, the team prowess of Clinic playing together for all this time and understanding the way one another are going to play, I think that favors Clinic on this map. However, going to Lennon now, I could actually see Goose Patrol winning this map surprisingly, like in a surprisingly convincing way, because of the way that those splits would work again. Now, hypothetically for Lennon, I don't know what Goose Patrol are going to do. I'm sure they're going to tell me in the chat as I'm saying this. But what I was saying when I did this yesterday was if I was Goose Patrol, I'd maybe throw Debo on a heavy for Lennon, because obviously, you know, Lennon long, you can use it to your advantage when you get your backs against the wall. It's just not the same as Lennon B2 was as an offensive tool. You can't really push up to the long L haul and steps and just get a bunch of kills without getting obliterated fast. And pushing up into upper swing, the angle of the open swing door into spawn now is just really bad. You can get naded easy. They have that cage where a sniper can sit and pick you off with no problem. So, like, Clinic's long team, Carpenter and Candyman, that's really, really good. But you can kind of contain that long team, and they can't have too much impact everywhere else if you're leaving them at long by themselves. You send Debo Apartments as a heavy, now you got that frag power in apps, you got that frag power on well. You're taking those two really integral parts of the map, and in particular Apartments, which is central to both double caps. And if you're able to get control there, you can really just steamroll through, and then long becomes like the last thing you have to cap. You know, I think that that's a potential idea for Goose Patrol to throw a little bit of a wrench in the works on Clinic and be able to find a path to victory that way. You know, I think with Lennon, it's a map that teamwork matters everywhere, on every map in DoD, but it's a map that if you can just frag the fuck out of the other team, you can win it because of that. Like, it's just the way that it's so disconnected with the double caps, in particular when you have heavies that are able to control Apartments. It just becomes a slippery slope so easily, especially when you're on allies. You can just blow over to the first flag, worry about flanking long to cap it back if you don't have it already, and then boom, you full capped however many times in a row on allies. So, I mean, I don't want to say for sure Goose Patrol is going to win Lennon. I think if I had to put money down on it, I would still take Clinic because, you know, they're just such a good team. But I think that out of all the maps and all the matchups and all the lineups that they could be playing, I think Goose Patrol on Lennon is one of the most possibly losing matchups for Clinic based on the way that Goose Patrol decides to deploy their resources in their players. Like, you can split up those main guys a little bit and have serious frag power on all 3 routes of the map and potentially be able to overwhelm Clinic that way. I got to check and see what that was. Nicholson, hey, there's Darren. Let's go. Carp does got that dog in him, though. So that's the thing, too. It's like, you know, in theory, sending Debo apartments, like being able to counteract the Vic in there, and then on long, you got Carp and Candy, both probably, you know, I think a lot of people would say the 2 best players on Clinic, when especially if Insam's not around. I should check. Did anyone say anything about whether Insam is going to be there? Let me go back up and check. Tony. Okay, nobody knows for sure, I guess, whether or not Insam is going to be there. But, yeah, to me, it's just, if I had to put money down on it, I'm still going to take Clinic, but I will not be surprised to see Goose Patrol take Lennon at all. I think that they have a very clear path to victory on that map. Now, then it goes to Railroad 2. Railroad 2 is a map that Clinic knows how to play so fucking well. Candyman in Train Car. Okay, Insam won't be playing. That's what I thought. All right. So, yeah, everything I said stands. It could be a strat. They could be. Insam might pop up. You get that, you know, glass-shattering entrance theme popping off. And then Insam is the first in the server, like, dun, 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 just dropping bombs on everybody. I think if Insam is there, that does give them another way to potentially defend against Goose Patrol beating them on Lennon, because Insam can be very annoying to play on well. But yeah, Railroad 2, you know, just straight up, I would take Clinic, but it could be not nearly as doable as Lennon. But if you can not have Candyman go off on you and train, because when Candy gets out of train and he's just laying in 2 kills at a time out of your train car, and then you got to send another player over there, it can get so tough to deal with. Obviously, DB, great sniper on Railroad 2. He might be able to contain Carpenter, or at least to the extent that you can contain Carp, or he's not dropping like 85 kills. Certainly without Insam, that makes it a little tougher for Clinic, but Suave on Railroad 2, man. I don't know what it is that he eats for breakfast before Railroad 2 matches, but goddamn, that guy's just running around with the car, shitting on everybody. It's some of the craziest carring I've ever seen on Railroad 2, the way that he plays. That is true. And that's the thing is, Reptar, if he has himself another one of these dual 40 matches, that's where you could see the difference getting made up by Goose Patrol, man. Bobby dropping 80 kills on top of Gall and Debo having their usual big performances, and DB being as rock solid a sniper as you're going to get. You know, this is where things start to roll more in Goose Patrol's favor. You know, obviously, overall, you got to favor Clinic. They've never lost a map in Silver. But if you can get one extra guy on Goose Patrol to really go off the way that Bobby did on Harrington, that's where Goose Patrol could find a path to victory. Overall, I'm going to take Clinic, but do not be surprised to see Goose Patrol make this very, very stressful. Certainly more so than anybody might have expected, you know, 6 weeks ago in the very, very original formation of all the teams. I could see this being a very, very tight matchup on both Lennon and Railroad 2. Anzio, I'm definitely leaning more towards Clinic to take it by, like, you know, 110, 120. But Lennon, I could see within a cap. And Railroad 2, I could see within a cap as well. So I expect that to be a very fun match, which I will most definitely be casting, assuming it's not at the same time as my matches. On the other side, though, Lads on Tour and Insomnia. I forget what the matchup looked like with them earlier this season. Obviously, Lads on Tour played Clinic to one of their closest matches. Lads on Tour is a ridiculously good team. Where was the Insomnia match? There it is. So this is a pretty close match as well. About 87-point win here for Lads on Lennon, which is a map. I think I picked Lads to win by a couple hundred on Lennon, thinking that Milo and Team Owner were just going to blow through everybody. But Insomnia was able to keep it close that week. Lineup-wise, pretty much always for Lads, you got Louis and Timo and Cage on the rifles. You got Milo, you got Chi on the heavies, you got Yanni on the sniper. Now, again, this was another time that I talked about this. I would say if that one of the biggest candidates for an MVP in Silver because he's a third rifle doing this, being in like the top 5 statistically, would actually be Cage. You know, if you have 3 players that all have had like pretty similarly good stats, say 4, let's just say 4. One's a sniper, one's a car, one's a heavy, one's a Stas. I think that Stas having stats similar to those other 3 is way more important than anything else. Because you expect your heavy, your best heavy to be putting up numbers. You expect your best car to be putting up numbers. You expect your sniper to be putting up numbers. If you have a third rifle that can do that too, that's, when Tox was third rifling, before he decided he was going to be like a car all of a sudden. That was kind of the big thing for Thunder, was the fact that we had a Stas that was also dropping 40s almost every half. It wasn't just like, oh, well, you expect your Stas to kind of go shitty routes and, play good support roles. Maybe if he goes positive, that's a plus. Gets like 25 kills, that's great. When you have a Stas that is very clearly one of the best players in the league, the way that Cage has been this season, that is a huge, huge X factor. And I think like if this was like Major League Baseball or the NBA or the NFL, I think Cage would be getting a lot of under the radar MVP votes. I think I would give him one. It's one of those things where you just don't see that often out of third rifles. It's a spot where if you can have your third rifle be one of your top 2 or 3 best players, that is so much more important than having a second good car or a second good heavy or a good sniper. Anybody can snipe. Take it from me. I do it all the time. And I'm not going to tell you it's difficult, even though I want to. But yeah, Cage has been a huge deal this season for lads on tour. Been playing out of his mind. Statistically has been an absolute god as a third rifle. And then on the other side, where are they? There they are. Insomnia, Sean Allity, who is another guy that has a good case for MVP with the way he's played this season. Tony, Head Like a Hole, Hypnotic on the sniper, Purdy on the other car, and Kaboom on the heavy. Kaboom had a little bit of a tough first match back, but this guy has always been one of the best, most mechanically gifted heavies in DOD. And if he can get it together this week, that could be trouble a little bit for lads on tour, especially because then he's matching up against his former heavy partner in Milo. He might be able to counter Milo a little bit better than most other heavies are able to do. Obviously, this is all speaking in total hypotheticals, but out of all the heavies in silver, the one I think that you would most want to have as a counter to Milo, it would be his longtime heavy partner and Chris there. If Chris is, happy to be playing DOD, because he's not always happy to be playing DOD, obviously. I gotta check the maps. Yeah, dude, Sean has been nutty. It seems like there's never really been an MVP. Louis picked one for each division, which is fine. He's doing the stats. I'm saying, though, like, if there was going to be a KTP MVP, it should be a vote from all the team captains. Like every captain in the division picks somebody not from their team and then add it up. He's rating and not play. All right, so I don't know what Insomnia is going to do, though, if there's no Kaboom. Oh, shit. That is problematic for Insomnia. I mean, if Shreddies and Coffee, maybe Gandhi will pop back up. That's definitely tough. If Chris doesn't play, then they are in serious trouble. Shit, I got to check the maps. Milo is gonna have a fun time then with no Chris there to deal with him. Damn. Well, that's unfortunate for Insomniac. They're playing Harrington, Anzio, and Railroad 2. So right off the bat on Harrington, that's a map that Milo is going to go off. And Team Owner as well. Timo is excellent at Harrington. Something that I brought up in the Dodcast yesterday was, I don't know if I'm lads, if I'm going to send Timo long. At least not to begin with. You kind of want a guy who is your best rifle and one of the best naders in DOD to be handling shit on mid on this map. I know that he loves going long, and he is very good at soloing long a lot of the time, but I would definitely want him to be at least playing like the rotator to mid as much as possible, because you can have long all you want. If you know that Timo is just isolated at long, you can just send one guy there, have him play passive, let him run by, shoot him in the back, do whatever you want just to not let him get behind your mid team, and then you're just taking Timo out of the game entirely at that point. So I think if I'm lads, I want Timo as close to mid as possible, as much as possible, because he's just so invaluable. just both with his ability to shoot you in the face and how good he is with nades, you know? CK gets all his nade kills in one way. Colin is the finesse version of CK, where he's getting that many nade kills, but he's doing it without suiciding himself in the process. I would imagine that it'll be Milo and Chi on Mountain. Louis, I think maybe if they're going to send team owner mid, I would probably have Louis go long or just have them both go mid. Do it similar to T3, the way that Leo and No Name are both going mid most of the time, and have Cage deal with long. Cage having a great season. This is one of those maps where you could see him be a real X factor, where if you can have Teemo not play that route that is like one of his signature routes, you can slide Cage in there. Now Team Owner can go be dropping 80s in mid instead, and Cage just taking care of the job the same way as Colin normally would on long, but with the Stas. Obviously, Sean Alley is going to be great. He always is. Purdy is really good at Harrington historically. He always went mid, and Sean has always gone long. I'm not sure if they'll do the same thing this time around, but, you know, it's going to be tough for them without Kaboom on Mountain. Like, you know, Milo and Chi, that's as good a heavy team as you're going to see right there. Milo's got the aggro. Chi's got the passive. He's locking shit down. If you kill Milo, Chi's killing you immediately after. And whoever it is that's going to be heavying with Tony, you guys have your work cut out for you. I don't see this map going Insomnia's way. I'm taking Lads by like 250, honestly. I could see this getting out of hand. If Kaboom was going to be there, then I could see it being more of a toss-up, but I have no idea who they can slot into that second heavy that is going to be able to hang with Milo. I just don't see it, and that's going to make it a long game. I think Milo's very capable of ending up with like 95 to 100 kills on Harrington, and that's probably going to be what goes down. What was the next map? Anzio, okay. Vertex does deserve more props for his nades. He really doesn't ever throw a nade that seems to not get a kill. Or if it doesn't get a kill, it did like 99 damage to you. Legitimately. I would see Coffee would be a good guy to bring in, and just, you got to kind of switch around who's playing what classes, swap somebody else over to a bar, maybe let somebody car bar if they feel like they can do it, and let Coffee just solo long, do his Coffee thing. And I think that could be a way that they could maybe compensate for the loss of Chris on this map, because, man, that's a tough loss, honestly. All yesterday when I was doing the Dodcast talking about this matchup, it was like, Kaboom, he's going to be the counter to Milo. Like, this is the way that Insomnia could do this. Kaboom and 9 against Milo and Chi. And now to find out that there's no Kaboom, it's like, oh, well, that's not good. That's not good. So Anzio is the second map. We did just see, obviously, Insomnia play against Jetty. They won by 25. Jetty, of course, had Corey Price ringing. That's one of the best rifles in silver. Getting to ring for them, that's no joke. That certainly made a huge difference for Jetty. Lads. So obviously Insomnia would have picked this map. This would have been their pick, so they must feel good about it and have some idea of how they want to play Anzio against these guys. Still, I mean, that's a lot to contend with. Milo is so slippery on this map. You can lose track of him very easily. You know, JN is going to be doing like, you know, just a elementary job of sniping on both halves. You know, like I can see him going like 20 and 10 both halves, or 20 and 5, or 20 and 7, something like that. Like, I expect him to just be kind of like a perfect stereotypical sniper here. Colin, again, you know, going bridge, going plaza, whatever he's going to do, I've seen him do both very, very well. And then Cage, once again, a map that it can be a little extra something for third rifles. I can see him having a huge game here. However, in this case, at least, Sean and his ability to get multiple frags in fucking 2-3 seconds, this is a map where he can have a little bit more of an overall impact on things. We just saw him get 80 kills against Jetty, a 79, whatever, but still, let's just call it 80. It's another situation where maybe you bring Coffee in and have him kind of play on Plaza, see if you got somebody else that wants to just grab a bar. You know, head like a whole maybe Stas bar, something like that. Make it work that way. Sean can certainly go off and drop 80 kills in this game. But if Insomnia doesn't have somebody filling in that 6th role that can do their job, it's going to be just a murder. You know, Lads on Tour is ridiculous. They're all players. Chi is the only one that hasn't only played in gold. Oh no, and Yanni has not played in gold. So it's 4 out of 6 guys that played exclusively in gold. They are all very talented, very smart players. They play together extremely well. They've already gelled. They look like a legit team right off the bat because they're all so close. They're all smart players that understand the way the game works and how to play off your route partner and your class partner. And that's why a Clinic versus Lads final is going to be so fun. You know, you got to take Lads here. With no Kaboom, I got to say 2-0. Sean and 9, I expect to have really good matches there. And even I could see Nick putting up some big numbers. Like I said, maybe Stas sparring or something. Purdy. But I just don't see Insomnia being able to find a way around how stacked Lads on Tour is from top to bottom and how perfectly constructed that roster is. So 2-0 Lads on Tour. Unfortunate for Insomnia not having Kaboom. That could have made things really a lot more close and potentially send one map in the way of Insomnia. But overall, it's going to be Clinic Lads in the finals. That was clear from day one. They are both such good teams, and that's going to be a fun as hell match to watch when all is said and done. Very curious to see how the map selection would go in that one. Okay, and last, but probably least, we're to the gold portion of the playoffs. Obviously, one of these is my team, so there's not much. Yeah, Jane, you haven't played in gold yet. Just wait till next season. You're going to be fragging it up in gold. I'm going to see you on the top of that stats page, KD ratio. Yet. So, gold. Obviously, Thunder is here. I'm not going to get too deep into predicting my own match. We're playing against Why So Serious. This team is no fucking joke. Booten, Element, Paul, Justin, Crod, Warchild, and Dustin. All these guys can fucking play. They can all play basically any fucking class, too, with a couple of exceptions. Like, I don't think Crod has ever sniped. But really, I mean, anybody can snipe. I'm sure Crod could snipe if somebody told him he had to snipe. And then for Thunder, of course, you got Tox, me, Jules, J-Rod, Dorito, Ryan Emo, maybe Ace, depending. Map-wise, don't actually know what the order is. I've asked a couple times and nobody knows. But the maps are Harrington, Anzio, and Railyard, I believe. Yeah, not Railroad 2, Railyard. I'm assuming it's like Harrington, Anzio, Railyard, order-wise. We can lose on any of these maps. Like, this team is... Right from the start, I said this team could be a diamond in the rough, like flying under the radar. Other teams might not expect them. Right, we've just seen Rat Pack, who is supposed to be a top 3 or 4 team, get obliterated by them on Anzio. Obliterated. These guys all understand the game. They've been playing for each of them, you know, realistically, just about 20 years. I think Element probably has the least time played. Maybe Justin, and they're just more like 18 years instead of 20 years. They can play this game with their eyes closed. You know, obviously for Thunder, we've all played together forever and ever. You know, a map like Harrington, we've always been up and down on. That's a map that I can definitely see going Why So Serious' way. Anzio, same thing. At least in this case, it's 2 teams that understand how to play Anzio, so that'll be a really interesting match for people to watch. And then Railyard, a rematch of the original matchup between us, where the first half of that game was so stressful, we barely capped out to make it a 39-point lead after the first half. So they've already proven that they can beat us on that map. I could see this game going 3 maps legitimately. You know, it's going to be stressful as all hell for sure. And good luck, have fun to Why So Serious. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to start analyzing the shit out of our own matchup here. This is where a Tony could have been more helpful so that I could have predicted his match. He could have done mine. But moving on to the other side of the gold bracket. T3 and Icy Hot. This is a big one. So for Icy Hot, you got Jesse, you got William, you got Mitch, you got Casey, you got Tony is back, and you got Ben. It's a hell of a stacked team, but the most stacked team. Potentially, you could say the most stacked team there's ever been in DoD. If you look at pound for pound, like if you could pull any other team forward in DoD and like, age up their abilities and stuff, I think I would take T3 up against just about anybody ever. Obviously, there are going to be some people that say blasphemy, but I assure you, if you actually could open up demos of teams from like 2004 and 5 and 6 and see what it actually looked like when they were playing DoD, the DoD that's being played now on average is invite level DoD from 2004 and 5. And I mean average, not the invite level DoD from now on average. I mean the average DoD. The game has evolved so much. The skill curve has gone so far up. People have figured out so many new ways of looking at the game, figuring out nades, figuring out how best to use certain guns, developing mechanically, the way that they want to play routes, everything. This is the best DoD being played, period, from a skill level standpoint and from an evolution standpoint on the way the game has come around. And T3 is like the number one example of that. You got Nick Patton on the sniper. You got Leo, No Name, and Till as the rifles, as the most formidable rifle team. And then on the heavies, PDX and Taylor or Bud. Like if you have Taylor as the other heavy, you have a more aggressive, frag power, can just stuff it down your throat player. If you have Bud, you have somebody that's going to be more like a turret, able to just shut down his route. PDX can go off and do whatever he wants, and no, Bud is just going to be kind of hanging out. And he does that job very well. Even though he's going to do that, you still very rarely can kill him. That's how good he is at doing it. That's kind of the hallmark of being able to play that super passive, heavy role. And it's tough to play because it can get boring at times. I've had to do it myself and fucking hated it and sucked at it. And Bud does it as well as anybody can. So it really doesn't matter who their sixth is between Bud and Taylor. They could swap them out between maps, and they're going to be just as good either way, depending on what they want to do on each given map. So map-wise, I do believe we have it. Yes, we do. ICOP picked Anzio, T3 picked Harrington, and a decider of Thunder 2, which is interesting. I don't think I predicted that at all, to be honest with you. Oh, what happened? Oh, I'm sorry, Tony. I'm sorry. I just meant in the past, like when we would do it together this season, you were able to pick the Thunder matches so that I didn't have to dwell on it too much. There we go. Debo is heavying. I like it. That I was saying earlier, I was hoping Debo would heavy. I did talk about you already. I went into a whole thing about how Debo could be the way that Clinic ends up losing because Debo could shit on Clinic enough, especially with a heavy, to make that difference up. Clinic, I'm guessing, will cast our match. It depends, I guess, on when everybody plays. Our match is at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, so we'll see what goes on as far as timing for somebody to cast it there. I'll cast everybody's matches that aren't going on at the same time, for sure. All right, so Anzio, we've obviously played both teams on this map a million times. I think just speaking from experience, this is, when it comes to two teams that could be played against as much as humanly possible, these are the two teams we've played against more than anyone on all these maps. Maybe not Thunder as much. I don't think I've played T3 that much on Thunder, or ICF for that matter. But yeah, so Anzio, having played against both teams, oh man, like they match up so well. I'm not sure how the routes are working out because with ICF, you got both William and Casey that are predominantly Plaza cars. I've seen Kanga go Plaza as well before. Really, any of the rifles could be going Plaza. They're all good at it. Tony, lockdown Plaza heavy, able to do that job as well as anybody. Just like the way that Bud plays. He can lock down, and Street obviously being so important on this map. Everything floods through Street. You can use Street to your advantage in so many cool ways. So having a heavy that is committed to doing that the way that both Tony and Bud will do is so important, and you can take advantage of that fact. Bees, as the other heavy, the PDX of this heavy combo, I can't tell you how many times I've had this guy just run down main ramp with an STG or an Unter and just headshot me through the unbroken window of pizza after I do 99 damage to him through the window. I don't know how he gets that first headshot off every time, but he does. And that's frustrating for a sniper, let me tell you. That gets into your head real quick. So if you see Mitch just dropping headshots on Nick and Pizzeria over and over again, running down main, then expect Nick to be unhappy about it, because I sure would be. When heavies kill you as a sniper from long ranges at all, it pisses you off. But if you do have Vertex in double windows, again, going back to how good of a nader he is, I was talking about it earlier in regards to PB going Plaza for Rat Pack and how I felt like he was better served on Bridge. Not because he can't go Plaza, but because it's so much a game of hide and seek these days. Like, there's not peeking even. Like, I just stand there and spam the wall and get kills half the time with nades and through the wall. Because the allies, they're probably going to get that cab, first off. Just like on Axis side bridge, you expect the Axis are going to gain control of the bridge. Casey's nades, though, are so good, and Tony and Bees both can throw nades from different spots on the map as well. I think Casey going double windows is somebody who I've always seen as being like one of those really top impactful players going that route. William is good at it too. So, like, really, if Casey feels like he can do more on bridge, I don't think it makes too much of a difference where you send each of them. Plaza is going to be such an interesting matchup to me. The way that the two snipers play, like each of them getting their allied side, Ben with his little fucking not fast switching thing, the way he can get off a second shot so much faster than everybody else and take advantage of the glitchiness of DOD the way that we all did with an AWP in 1.6, the quick scope kind of thing. And then Patton, obviously, the way that he, even if he misses a shot, will probably kill you from any range because he has the fucking best pistol ever. And then the heavies are both, like, the way that they match up is, like, identical, you know? They both play their roles so well. And on bridge, obviously, that rifle team is just so good for T3. Wherever they're all going, they're going to do their jobs. I imagine Leo will go Plaza with the car. But on Allied side bridge, fancy trying to hit both No Name and Leo as they're headshotting you with a Garand over and over again. You know, like, they're going to have a lot of fun on the bridge, I think, on their Allied side with the Garands. That's where the difference can come in. It's which team can steal their route unexpectedly. If, you know, the Allied side bridge team is able to really control bridge most of the time and keep Axis side push back, then whichever team it is that can pull that off is going to be getting a lot more full caps on their Allied side. And if you can stack up some full caps on your Allied side, you have a little more room to work with, not having to take risks in the second half. But, God, overall, you know, I think for this map, I'm going to go with Icy Yacht here. On Harrington, I think T3, because of the fucking weird way that they play, you know, like I was talking about earlier, they have such a unique way to play Harrington. You know, for T3 to win on Anzio, I think the key for them is going to be really trying to overrun Street whenever they get in trouble. And I expect that they know that, and they will do that, using Street and Church Tower and sewers to kind of fan out through the map. You know, they all know this. This is not some fucking secret that I can put onto them. Like, they are all experienced good players and know how important Street is. But Icy Hot obviously knows that too. They can counter it. I think that Icy Hot is going to be a little more favored on Anzio. I think that T3 is more favored on Harrington because of the way they play. They're all so good at that map. Again, whether it's Bud or Taylor, it doesn't matter. The only difference is that Taylor is likely going to push more and frag more, whereas Bud is just going to be that thorn in your side, holding on to that route for dear life. I can see that being a close match, like a closer match than T3 normally plays on Harrington, having played against Icy Out. The big thing there, the heavies of Icy Out can frustrate the fuck out of you on Mountain, and then Casey in middle, Vertex. Speaking of him as an MVP, he would have to have a huge match in mid. If he can play in mid and counteract the dual rifles of T3 and Nick Patton and all the support they'll have coming from everyone else, I think that would be the one way that you could see Icy Hot steal Harrington. I think that, or at least that's the most important thing for them. And you know, Casey is more than capable of going out and doing that. But overall, I just think T3 on that map, like I'd say Icy Hot by 27, T3 by like a cap and a half on Harrington. Thunder 2, is so up in the air for me, just because I don't think I've played either team all that much on it. So I have to kind of like guess it based off of having watched them play on it, based off of knowing the players well enough and the way that they might play. We saw T3 do a really good job of exploiting the bunker in particular on Thunder 2 against Rat Pack. You know, you'd see like 3 guys in there at a time and stuff. They were using it to rotate around the map quickly, which is smart because you can safely, if you have bunker, you can safely use bunker to get to mid, safely use bunker to get to the other side of the map. For Icy Hot, you know, those guys are all aim studs, and they understand too how to adapt mid-match to things that aren't working. They're really good at that. You know, all of them have good DoD brains, obviously. A guy like Mitch, who's been around forever, a guy like Vertex, Tony, they're all very cerebral in the way they're thinking about this. I think Ben versus Nick on a Thunder is going to be one of the biggest keys, because if either sniper can dominate, you know, both halves or one half or the other, that can be something that turns the tide. And they're both just so good and explosive. Leo had a fucking absurd match in the last Thunder game, and we've seen No Name do it as well. You know, but both Vertex and Sick you've seen do it as well. It's such a toss-up on this map. Like, if I had a gun to my head, I don't know who I'd pick on Thunder 2, honest to God. I think that this, of all the maps to be a decider, this is kind of like the perfect one, because it's so much of an unknown quantity for both these teams. I don't think of Thunder 2 at all when I'm thinking of Icy Hot or T3. We've seen T3, obviously not this version, but they did lose on Thunder to Skull in one season. Icy Hot, I'm trying to think of who. They played Why So Serious, and Why So Serious played them very close a couple weeks ago. But I think that was also a different Icy Hot lineup. It wasn't like the full 6 or whatever. I don't know. I'd have to double check that. Actually, I could be wrong about who was playing in general, like who they played against. Thunder 2? No, I was right. Why So Serious, Icy Hot. Again, though, you know, like that's a good example of the team play factor. Why So Serious, with all that experience, being able to keep it so close with Icy Hot, even though they got severely out-fragged. I remember looking at those screenshots, and it was like plus 40 in the frags in one of the halves in favor of Icy Hot, and Why So Serious kept it close. But, God, Thunder 2, you know, you gotta pick T3 because they're T3. But I think that this, of all the maps, to me, is a map that if Icy Hot really does their studying and trying to find a way specifically to counteract the way that T3 play on this map, because of the way that Thunder plays, you can take advantage of that. You know, it's a map where you can almost have lost the match immediately if you like give up a ninja cap. You can find a way to get a ninja cap and then just get mid and hold it for even a couple minutes and not give up another cap out. It's a map that can turn on a fucking dime. And those are the kind of things where, for a team like T3, a team like Thunder, those are the maps that you're at most risk of losing because of how quickly a ninja cap can just fuck you in the ass. You might think like, okay, we're up by 30 points, there's 4 minutes left, we just got to hold mid, and then you lose mid, oh my god, then you got capped on because there was a ninja the whole time, you know? Icy Hot gonna have to watch out for ninjas from a guy like Leo. We all know he's the god of ninja capping. And maybe have somebody on Icy Hot's side be able to do the same thing back to them. But yeah, that's going to be such a tight fucking match. I fully expect this to go 3 maps, and that we're going to get to see how this does play out in the end. So, you know, like I said, gun to the head, I'd take T3, but I'd say that, like, odds-wise, I'm going, like, 55% T3, 45% Icy Hot here. Especially if Icy Hot, like, you know, saw that cast at all and were able to see the way that T3 played, sort of work a game plan through that, because T3 played it, again, another very unique play style, and, you know, which they do on a lot of maps. So we'll see how that goes. But I expect a third map, and hopefully they're not playing at the same time as we are, because I'd like to cast that game. Oh, God. I didn't realize how much chatting was going on here. My bad. I have no idea. Okay, so this did end up being shorter than the Dodcast yesterday. I did it. I fucking did it. Let's go. Oh, thank you, God. I resent what William just said about Casey, though. Best dubs Anzio player in the game. That's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. The live Dodcast is fun. I'll have to do it more often. We talked about it all the time and just never actually ended up doing it. But it was fun to pop off here. Whew! My throat is raw. Let's see, what else did I miss? Anything? You could see Hildy snipe dubs. That's true. You've seen a lot more snipers going double windows lately. It's been interesting. Ouch. Alright, I'm gonna go and eat something because I haven't, because I just took a shower and came on and did this Dodcast. So, thank you guys for watching. I will upload this to the fucking YouTube channel. Everybody have a good rest of the night. Hopefully this recorded the audio, because if it didn't, I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it a third time. I swear to God. Love you guys. Peace out. Good luck this weekend to everybody. KTP. Mwah.